And now Dee concludes Lesson 6, When the Earth Shakes.
I've been struggling with chronic health issues for many years now, and probably for the last 5 or 6 years, I've been on this quest to fix them, looking in all different directions, realizing at the same time the Lord probably had something spiritual He wanted me to learn in it, but I still thought that there was a way out of it, that I could just get out of it. But through the study with idolatry, I've been finding more and more that these are trials that are actually friends, and they're bringing me more and more into closer intimacy with Him. I've realized that I was actually just living for this hope of this pain-free, trouble-free life, thinking that was what I needed, where I needed to get to, instead of seeing the suffering and the trials as His mercy that actually draws me closer to Him.
What Satan wants to do is cause what sociologists call attachment disorder. This is my daughter, our daughter, Beth, whom we adopted from an orphanage in Thailand when she was 12. And Beth had suffered a lot of abuse. She had had her arm severed as a baby, and she was left to die. But she didn't die. Someone found her. But then she grew up in an orphanage where she also experienced abuse. And she had attachment disorder. Attachment disorder occurs when the person who was supposed to protect you hurts you. So you build a wall around yourself from everybody, and you have trouble attaching even to people who really love you because of your fears. Now God has overcome Beth's attachment disorders, and God has done a mighty work in her life. But do you see what Satan is whispering to you? That lie? You can't trust God. Back up from Him. And when we back up from Him, because our souls will not tolerate a void, we run to our idols. And Satan has a victory. We have to accept the mystery of suffering, and often we will not have answers. When God shook Mary and Martha's world by allowing their brother to die, He has a conversation with Martha that's quite similar to His conversation with Job. She's out there right away. If you'd been here, my brother wouldn't have died. And He asks her a question instead of giving her an explanation. He says, I am the resurrection and the life, Martha. Do you believe this? And when He says, I am the resurrection and the life, He is saying one of the great I ams, the very same words that God spoke to Moses when Moses said, what is your name? And God, who cannot compare Himself to anyone, said, I am who I am. Every time Jesus says one of the great I ams, He is making a clear declaration of deity. R.C. Sproul says, He comes as the resurrection. He comes as the bread of life. He comes as the light. He comes as the way. He comes as the good shepherd. He comes as the vine. He is the one who could say before Abraham was, I am. What Jesus is saying to Martha is, I am God. I know what I'm doing. Can you just trust me with this? When you suffer as a believer, it is never because God is punishing you, because He took that at the cross. But it's hard. All our doubts come pouring in when we have the sky drop down on us. And that's when we have to stop listening to our souls and start talking to our souls. I want to show you a little footage of my 4 girls, my 3 daughters and my daughter-in-law, at their dad's funeral. And you, when you see them, you will be able to see that they are in pain. But I want you to also see how they are singing the truth to their souls.
You are beautiful beyond description. too marvelous for words, too wonderful for comprehension, like nothing ever seen or heard. Who can grasp your infinite wisdom? Who can fathom the depth of your love? You are beautiful beyond description, majesty enthroned above. And I stand in awe of you. I stand in awe of you. Holy God, to whom all praise is due. I stand in awe of you.
We don't know why God took Steve. But I'll tell you, this shaking of our world has revealed our idols. Just like Hebrews says. He says, yet once more I will shake not only the earth but also the heaven. The phrase yet once more indicates the removal of things that are shaken, in order that the things that cannot be shaken may remain. Therefore, let us be grateful for receiving a kingdom that cannot be shaken. God shakes our world, but we have an unshakable world we are headed to. And even while he's shaking our world, he does not leave us. When Steve was sick, we prayed the promises of God. One of those promises is that he will be a father to the fatherless. And Steve said, God, if you're taking me home, I've got 3 girls still at home, and I'd like you to be a father to the fatherless. And my idea of how this could happen, but I know you're smarter than I am, is that they would each marry a godly man who had a godly father. Well, the year after Steve died, Sally married a godly man with a pastor father. 2 years after Steve died, Annie married a godly man with a pastor for a father. 3 years after Steve died, Beth married a godly man with a pastor for a father. And then 2 summers ago, and I know Jesus and Steve conspired on this, all 3 of those girls and my daughter-in-law had surprise baby girls in the same summer. We don't know the reason for suffering, but we know his heart is for us. We know he's on our side, and we know we have a kingdom that cannot be shaken.
Be still, my soul, the Lord is on thy side. Bear patiently the cross of grief